Well, hello, my name is Jim Royal. I'm a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan and basically classic rock in general. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If you could do a thumbs up, that's always most appreciated. Feel free to leave comments. I always enjoy reading them and I do my best to try to respond in a timely manner. Also, go ahead and smash that bell. That'll give you updates of when future videos are available to watch. I wanted just to say first, before I continue what I'm going to talk about today, it is the 9th anniversary since I started making these videos for YouTube and with this channel. I started September 1st, 2016. Today's date is September 1st, 2025. And here in the United States, it's Labor Day, so it's a holiday. So I wanted to thank everybody who has watched my videos. I would encourage you to watch others if you haven't done so already. All right, so I wanted to talk about a particular song. There's a box set that's coming out from John Lennon and Yoko Ono, and it's called Power to the People. And it's going to come out here in October 2025. What has happened is it's going to feature a remix of Sometime in New York City, which was their 1972 double album. It features Elephant's Memory, a New York band on it. That's the backing band for them. And then there also in the box set, there's going to be the one-to-one live concerts, the audio. John Lennon and Yoko put on a concert to help the special needs children at Willowbrook and also bring awareness in New York. And they put on these two shows at Madison Square Garden in August of 1972, and they were actually also televised too at the time. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, what's not cool is the fact that the Lennon camp has decided to censor a song, a John Lennon song, because it contains a bad word. So not only are they taking it off the album Sometime in New York City, they're remixing it and just calling it New York City, but they're also taking it off completely off the one-to-one concerts. Now, in my opinion, this is the absolute best song on the album. It's the most polished. It's got a lot of meaning if you actually read the words. And the other thing too, it was the only single. Now, I know when it came out, it was very controversial at the time. All right, here we are 53 years ago, when it came out. And yeah, people, can understand. The title of the song is called Woman Is the N-Word of the World. At the time, there was a big uproar. John Lennon and Yoko actually went to the African American community and they talked to people like from Ebony Magazine and other people, and they basically just explained to them, this is, what the true meaning of the song is, and this is why we use that word. Well, it basically conveys it's pro-women and it's pro-minority. Well, the African American community, they listened to it, they understood where they were coming from, and they say, yeah, you have a just cause here. We're behind you. In fact, Yoko was the one who coined the phrase. Back in 1969, she was doing an interview for Nova magazine. But it is jointly their song. It's Lennon Ono. So I guess my concern is the fact that I don't like the fact that the Lennon camp has decided to ban the song, okay, because of the word. I think it's wrong. And I think that if John Lennon were alive today, he would have no part of it. He says, no, we're putting it out. It is a song that has great meaning. And even today it has meaning too. I think that women have come a long way since when this first came out. There was the ERA and other factors. And I just think that we're in a better place in many respects than maybe where they were in 1972 and prior. But this is generalizing. It's not, the lyrics are not to say, everybody was going through this, but this is some society norms, and some of them exist to this day. All right, and the other thing I'm going to say is, let's think about banning songs here for a minute. Can you imagine if they banned the Beatles song, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, because someone said, oh, it stands for LSD? Come on, give me a break, right? All right, so here we go. Woman is the N of the world. Yes, she is. think about it. Woman is the end of the world. Think about it. Do something about it. We make her paint her face and dance. Okay, so this is the idea that, you know, women generally, you know, were made up. They put makeup on in those days, especially anytime they left the house, you know, they usually would be dressed up. They might put on a dress, maybe slacks, but that's what they did, okay? But there's also the line here, we make her paint her face and dance. And I almost think it's almost like, you know, like you go to like a club and, you know, you see a woman dancing and stuff. And I think that maybe is what that is. Almost like, you know, she's here for man's, you know, basically she's just here for, you know, to please a man. I think maybe that's what that line is. That part. If she won't be a slave, we say that she don't love us. So this is the idea that generally, you know, men were the head of the household. There's always exceptions, but that's how it was. You know, the man was the breadwinner. The woman generally stayed at home, was the homemaker, and took care of the kids. If she's real, we say she's trying to be a man. Okay, so I think this is the other thing where, you know, hey, you know, you will listen to me. I'm the man. I'm in charge. So, you know, your opinion means nothing. Now, obviously, this is such a generalization, and even then it wasn't completely with everything. But this is what he's trying to say in the lyric. While putting her down, we pretend that she's above us. Okay, so, hey, insulting her, and at the same time putting her on a pedestal, like and worship like she's a goddess. Woman is the N-word of the world. Yes, she is. If you don't believe me, take a look at the one you're with. Woman is the slave of the slaves. Yeah, better scream about it. Okay, so that's exactly what that's saying. You know, that even though this song is saying it's pro-minority, at the same time it's saying the woman is even, you know, at the very bottom of everything. All right, and then after this is, we make her bear and raise our children. All right, so this is just like that. This is the idea where she is the mother, she's expected to stay at home and raise the kids. That's how it is. And the man, you know, is the one who is the breadwinner, and he goes and works. Now, prior to 1970, that's generally how it was. A lot of people would get married out of high school, and they would immediately settle down and have kids. There were exceptions if, you know, people did go to college, and both did, but generally more men went to college than women. And then they would get married, or they would even be married at the time. Okay, so it says we make her bear and raise our children, and then we leave her flat for being a fat old mother hen. So this is the idea that, okay, maybe after she's had so many kids, maybe she doesn't have that figure that she had before. Maybe she's put on some weight. So the idea is, oh, we'll just throw her out and get another one. We tell her home is the only place she should be. Then we complain that she's too unworldly to be our friend. All right, so that's the idea where, you know, I was telling you that maybe, you know, maybe she didn't go to college. Maybe she doesn't have a worldview because she's been at home. And, you know, unlike the man who's been out there in the world, you know, working world and stuff, she doesn't have that. She's at home, she's raising the kids. So maybe she doesn't have a worldview. So that's what that's saying right there. Woman is the N-word of the world. Yes, she is. If you don't believe me, take a look at the one you're with. Woman is the slave to the slaves. Yeah, think about it. We insult her every day on TV and wonder why she has no guts or confidence. All right, what I think there is that it's the stereotypes of women, how they're portrayed on television. Usually they're, you know, much quieter. The man, you know, he calls the shots, so to speak. And then also how they looked. You know, you had Leave It to Beaver, for example, and maybe, you know, commercials. And like June Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver, you know, the mother, you know, she had the pearl necklace on. She was sitting there baking a cake, and she wore this really nice dress and just, you know, looked amazing, right? Like she was going somewhere, and she's actually, you know, just staying at home for the day. Or Carol Brady later on in the Brady Bunch. Yeah, she might not have always wore a dress, but she wore slacks. So it's kind of saying that, and I think it's just the way that they're portrayed. You know, there wasn't, you know, any really strong women. It was always the man. All right, and then wonder why she has no guts or confidence. You know, because you're always talking down to her. When she's young, we kill her will to be free. While telling her not to be so smart, we put her down for being so dumb. Okay, so that's the idea that, hey, you know, she does have something to say, but maybe she didn't have that worldview. Maybe she didn't have that education. Maybe, you know, she was more secluded, you know, being at home. So, you know, it wasn't fair. Okay, so that's what he's saying. Woman is the N-word of the world. Yes, she is. If you don't believe me, take a look at the one you're with. Woman is the slave to the slaves. Yes, she is. If you believe me, you better scream about it. So he's saying, do something about it. Repeat. We paint her. I'm sorry. We make her paint her face and dance. We make her paint her face and dance. We make her paint her face and dance. So that's the song. Okay, so you be the judge. You know, I think that, you know, it had a lot of meaning. It had a lot of meaning back then, and there was some truths to it. And there still are some truths today with it. So I wanted to thank you for watching my video, and you take care, okay? All right, thank you. Bye.